Hello and welcome to the Final Frontiersmen. We are a YouTube channel dedicated to all things Trek. I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Bill.
All right, so we love to discuss and have all kinds of conversation about Star Trek. And today we're going to be discussing Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Episode 4, Memento Mori. So, Bill, tell us what happened in this episode.
Okay, just a quick recap of the episode. This one starts out, it's Remembrance Day, a day where the crew are, well, all of Starfleet, they're basically wearing a badge from a ship that they've served on in the past or a ship that was lost in combat. So it's just a day to remember all the lives that were lost in Starfleet's exploration of space. Um, So, starting with this concept, we see Laan, Noonien Singh. She's the only one not wearing a badge, so she's standing out on her own a little conspicuously, which comes into play later as they start investigating a missing colony. When they beam down, it looks straight out of a horror film. It looks almost like a Resident Evil situation where everyone is missing. They find blood streaks. It looks like something horrible has gone down there. And that's when Laan starts to realize that something from her past may be connected to what's happening now. When they get back to the ship, they discover one solitary vessel of colonists has survived. And when they bring the colonists over, that's when Leon finally realizes that it is indeed the Gorn who have attacked this colony, which again ties into her backstory that we saw in the very first episode. And the Gorn do indeed attack. And that's pretty much the rest of the episode of this vicious space battle, this Gorn assault on the Enterprise, as Starfleet finds himself very much outmatched against this alien threat. And it goes into a game of cat and mouse as the Enterprise tries to evade and survive the relentless hunters that are the Gorn. Shall we get into our review now?
Yeah, I think so. And so, a little bit how our reviews are going to go, okay, is when Bill and I, we watch the episode, we're going to be taking notes, okay? Some of us take better notes than others. That's going to definitely be Bill. Mine are mostly just like chicken scratch and fun stuff there. But anyway, as we do that, we're going to be making points. And if we think it's at a particularly important point, so for example, if this is something that is very important, this is something we really need to call attention to, we're going to say that this is a red alert. It's going to be shown on the screen like that. All right. If it's something that we think may impact the episode later, we're going to call that a yellow alert. Okay, something to watch for. I think this is going somewhere, that sort of thing. Now, if there's something that is way out there and going to break space and time as we know it, we're going to say the black alert system here. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, as far as thoughts, suppose that's where we're going to go with it. I want to start out talking about the Remembrance Day. And somebody pointed out that they timed this episode really well for this to come out alongside of Memorial Day.
Yes.
Right. So, which was interesting. So it's has Memorial Day been replaced? I guess with Remembrance Day.
Oh, that's a really good idea. I wasn't even thinking along those lines. Yeah.
Yeah,
That now in the future, it's not Memorial
it's
Day,
no longer
it's
Memorial.
Remembrance
It's
Day. It's a
Remembrance
more
Day. So
intergalactic thing. Yeah.
yeah, so it's slightly different tone on it. And then yeah, but then we like you said we noticed that Laan is not wearing her badge or her
Yeah.
little pin along with everyone else. She's just
She
I think
has the badge, the SS Puget Sound, but she's
yes
not wearing it.
right. And I never really. She seems to be so tormented, right? By
Yeah.
what happened with. I'm assuming it's her brother. I think I've been told it's her
I think
brother.
so. That's what
Something on because we
I'm
get to
thinking.
see
Yeah.
him.
Mm.
We get to see him, and but for her to be so tormented not wearing it,
Yeah.
what's going on there? That's
I wonder.
yeah,
And mentioning her brother too, like we see We see her brother in these kind of trauma-induced hallucinations,
Yes.
and we get a bit of a flashback to the brother later on. Finally, we'll probably get to that later,
Hmm.
but we she keeps seeing him the more that she's realizing that it is the Gorn that's coming, that it is the Gorn who are
Hmm.
attacking. Which again, at this point, um, canon-wise, Starfleet has not really encountered the Gorn, and I think the episode does a really good job of building them up like the boogeymen of the Star Trek
I
universe.
I agree. I fully agree. I think in a lot of media, fear can be induced by not seeing it.
Yeah,
If I we never laid eyes on a Gorn in this episode, and I think that
yeah,
was very very well done.
that was perfect.
Yeah, I think that was very very well done for sure.
And as you know, one of my other loves and interests is the writings of H.P. Lovecraft, and one of the
Right.
comments is like, he talks about the greatest fear is fear of the unknown. And so when you don't know what it is that's out there hunting you, trying to
Hmm.
kill you, I mean, I think the Gorn really captured that essence in this episode. And I just want to say, I thought it was really a great way to bring back the Gorn, because I think most of us see the Gorn as the TOS depiction of the very slow rubber suited guy getting hit by styrofoam rocks, which wasn't nearly as terrifying as what we saw in this episode of Strange New Worlds.
I agree. They really did a good job of showing just how powerful the Gorn are, as well as their battle tactics. Maybe
Yeah,
if they went toe to toe with the Enterprise, it probably would have been a very different outcome. But they caught them so off guard.
yeah.
It again added to the fear and terror of things.
And
So,
I want to actually call that out as my first red alert
all
from this
right, so we've
episode
got a
here.
red alert.
Uh, that opening attack I thought was so good, because watching it, the thing I really loved, like in the beginning when the colonist, the survivorship comes alongside,
Hmm.
they extend this docking ramp, and you never really see that much in Star Trek. Like when the ships are docking, you usually
Right.
have beaming or a shuttlecraft going, but you get actually this bridge connecting the two ships. And watching it, I thought like, oh, that's a really clever idea, seeing
Hmm.
that way for a more primitive means of transportation between two ships.
Yeah.
So there's the setup. And while that's in my head, like in the viewer's head of how well that is, like how interesting the idea is, then the attack starts coming and it's built up so well that like,
Hmm.
uh-oh, there's something else on there. Like, okay, raise shields. Oh, we can't raise
Can't do
shields.
that.
Why? Because we're tethered to the other ship. And it's like, oh,
Exactly.
oh.
It's
So it was so well done.
for sure. It seems like they hit on every classic Star Trek thing. Like, well, the transporters don't work. Well, the shields don't work.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just go down the list. So
It's
yeah,
like
for
of
sure.
all the ways, all the ways you could do the whole like we can't raise shields thing. I thought that was a great one, because you have two ships connected by a lifeline,
Mhm.
and you can't just cut it. Like,
No.
okay, shields up. You can't just break that. So like, oh no.
No.
And I thought that was an awesome, and the attack itself, the CG was amazing. It was terrifying and glorious to watch. So that was my first red alert of
Okay.
the episode.
Cool. All right. Yeah. So yeah. So how do you feel about Starfleet being just outmatched? So and I made a comment earlier. Like they did a calculated attack.
Hmm.
Um, where they show up and they just wreck this Enterprise. And at this time,
Yeah.
we're here to assume uh, that the Enterprise is still the flagship. It is the best that Starfleet has to offer as far as weapons are concerned.
Yeah.
Comments prove me wrong. That's okay. I'll take
Yeah.
that. I'm sure you can. Yeah. But anyway, that's for them to be so powerful, right?
Hmm.
Is that something that's not realistic for us? Is that something that how do you feel about that?
Uh, in this case, I thought it was okay, because of the fact they got hit by that sneak attack. They got hit by that surprise attack. So they were already wounded.
Mhm.
going into the battle. Whether they would have had a much better chance fighting the Gorn if they were ready with their shields up, weapons fully loaded. But
Sure.
that initial assault, basically, it took out all of their photon torpedoes. They weren't able to use them anymore.
Right.
The shields were damaged. The engines were damaged. Their chief engineer was cut off from going into engineering. So it's
Yes.
like all of the things that would make them formidable
Mhm.
were basically removed from that initial hit.
Right.
So I can believe that it was as bad as it was simply because they got that sucker punch in.
I get that. Well, one thing that I think that Strange New Worlds has been doing correctly here lately
Mm.
is it's giving the entire cast something to do, and I feel like that's
Yeah.
something that was going on here. As our audience grows and gets to know us, they're going to figure out I'm very, very forgiving of Star Trek, which we will get into, I'm sure, at some
Not
point.
so much over
And I think that's what's going to make our show really, really
yeah.
interesting because you literally are going to have two sides of things, I'm going to enjoy that a lot.
Yeah, wait until we get to Discovery.
I can't wait, and I want to
Yeah.
I want to do that. I definitely
Yeah.
want to do that. But anyway,
Yeah.
what I'm going to say here is that that's something that Strange New World has been doing differently than other. Well, I will pick on Discovery a little bit. I personally enjoy Discovery, but I will give it what it's owed.
Hmm.
Everyone has something to do. Okay,
Yeah.
you have the chief engineer, and he's tied up with the communications officer, and I struggle with that storyline a little bit. Like, what is a communications officer doing learning from an engineer?
Mm.
Unless it's just a Starfleet officer has to have a general understanding of all systems, maybe, I guess. But I don't know,
Yeah.
whatever. But she's down there, she's learning it. But it gives them something to do, and I thought their connection, Hammer and Uhura, was fantastic. I'm a
Yeah.
big Hammer fan,
Oh,
for sure.
he's winning me over
I
like
love
every scene he's in.
his
Yeah.
his character. That line when he says, "I don't do teams." Ah,
Yeah.
that was so good. I love that attitude about him. I just love how he's. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm smarter than you, and I'm going to tell you 7 different ways I'm smarter
Yeah.
than you, and then I'm going to prove mathematically that I'm smarter than you. So,
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
um, anyway, Mbanga and Nurse Chapel doing their thing in sick bay. We had Una in sick bay as well. I mean, even Una showing humility and that sort of thing, and giving her plasma and all that. Everyone was doing something, and it just seems so great to see this team working together so well.
And I want to add on to that I don't just think it's them getting something to do every time. I
Sure.
think it's everything they get to do every episode really reveals a lot about their character. Like you basically understand who they are. And I said this from the beginning, like the first
Hmm.
episode, there were just brief interactions with the characters, but I felt like I got a grip on who each of the characters were, even from the brief introductions. And
Hmm.
I think it's performed and it's written very well. Like you see all of them. And I still don't remember all the characters' names too.
It's okay.
I'll probably have to look at my notes, but
It's
yeah,
okay.
you see who's a leader, who's
Hmm.
more jokey, you see who's more arrogant. You get the
Absolutely.
feeling of who all the characters are simply by what they're doing. Yeah.
Yes, I absolutely agree with you. You mentioned interactions. I'm loving every single interaction that I see. I just see the chemistry between the
Yeah.
characters. I'm seeing chemistry between the actors as well. It was a previous episode where Pike and Erica Ortegas were having conversations about, hey, you're the best in Starfleet, right? As far as a pilot's concerned. Well, time for
Mhm.
you to show that. And she's like,
Yeah.
just watching her build her confidence. Like, I'm really confident until I'm put in a situation where, see her do that.
Yeah.
It's all great.
And in this episode too, you see her nervousness as a young officer
Yes.
and how she's she's
Mm-hmm.
wanting to get out of the situation, not really be in it, but she's getting that confidence given to her by the leadership, by Pike, by
Mm-hmm.
the commands that she follows them through. And it just reminded me of one more scene that I wrote down here that I really liked. It was pretty close in the beginning, right before the attack, when Lan comes in, and she basically snaps at Pike,
Mm-hmm.
because he's not really believing that there's the threat just yet.
Yes.
And she talks back, she snaps at him, but then I love the fact that you could see on her face she realizes she crossed the line, she apologized for it, and she restates what she's doing. Because there have been in some other of the recent series a lot of like disrespect being thrown up the chain of command
Mm-hmm.
and people getting away with it, which shouldn't be happening on like a starship where there is a chain of command. So when I saw that scene at first, I thought, like, is this going to be another thing where everyone just backtalks the captain and they just like stand back? But then I like that she realized, like, okay, I was over the line, but my point is sound,
Point is,
and
yeah.
she corrected that. So again, that's another character moment.
Mm-hmm.
You see that she lost control, but she realizes where her position is and how she has to behave. And I thought that was great.
I get that, but also one thing that scene shows that Pike holds his composure and he's listening to his crew. Okay.
Yeah.
This was the episode where we seen in the trailers for the show about with Lon screaming raise shields and Pike just immediately, nope, get him up. Like we're not discussing like why. And
Yeah.
that's something that I really like to see out of a captain, and I really enjoy him talking and listening to his crew, and they're running the ship just as much as he is.
Definitely.
I send
And
that.
he trusts them. He trusts them.
He trusts
That's
them.
the thing.
I see that a lot with Picard. With when Picard was on the Enterprise D and trusting his crew a lot and taking suggestions. I really enjoy seeing that.
Yeah.
And feel free to disagree, but I feel like Kirk had a different style of talking at his crew and telling them what to do, and they would occasionally question him, like, "We can't do that." And he's like, "Yeah, we can. The Enterprise will hold. It's fine. To do what I tell you to do." So it's a different style of captaining, and I respect it. But I would prefer someone to have a discussion rather than tell me what to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I prefer that. I prefer that myself too.
Sure.
I want to add another comment, just the way along the lines of everyone getting something to do and how we're seeing their character.
Yes.
As you may know, like a big part of this channel, which hasn't really been established yet, but you may know just by interacting with us, is we are really into the Star Trek Adventures role-playing game. In fact, that's how we met. And this Strange New Worlds really does feel to me almost like it's a Star Trek Adventures group together, where it's not like in Next Generation, like, oh, this is so and so's episode, and Dr. Crusher's not even going to do anything here. She's just going to walk by a window and wave, do anything. Like, it's like the game master for this series creates a little plot and a story for everyone to get involved and do their own thing and contribute
Absolutely.
in their own way. And I really love seeing that. Yeah.
Right. I definitely agree. That's a really good way to look at it. I've not thought of it in that light before. So yeah, for sure. That's a really fun way to look at that. So because I feel like that's where picking on Discovery, and the people who love Discovery are going to eat me alive, but no, promise. I'll tell you how much I love it later. But that's where the part where Discovery suffers is I feel like there's 1 to 2 characters that do literally everything, and everyone else is just not doing what they should.
Yeah.
I'll get better wording for that later. Anyway,
That will come later.
yeah. So
Different video.
Any other thoughts you have, like closing thoughts on the episode?
Yeah, just a couple things. I want to do one yellow alert
Okay.
for the mind meld. Actually, kind of a
Gotcha.
double yellow alert. Spock's mind meld with Laon. I thought it was really nice going back and seeing her past, but also the kind of feedback while she got his memories too, and she started pulling out memories of Burnham from Discovery, and she was sensing that, and he had to just shut it down right there because she was now getting into his mind. So I'm wondering, is that going to come up again in the future now that
Right.
she caught a glimpse of Spock's mind and this Federation secret that's locked away there?
That's a really good thought. And I thought about that. Of course, that's why he pulled that. I was like, nope, you don't need to know about this. But now she has an idea. Something's wrong with Spock, and I don't know exactly how would the Federation deal with La'an.
Mm.
She's already got a lot of weight on her being a relative of some important person in Star Trek. I
Yeah,
can't remember.
someone from the
But,
90s, I think it was.
she's already got that weight on her, and then for like Starfleet to show up and say, "Hey, look, you know something you don't need to know, so
Mm.
we're gonna pull you out or make you disappear." Section 31 may show up. I don't know. So that's a good call out for sure.
Yeah. I'm wondering about that, and I got one more little
All right.
uh, theoretical yellow alert that I wanted
Okay.
to throw out there, because watching this episode, okay, and then when you see the Gorn mothership come out, like
Yes.
that's a really strange looking ship. That I
It's fun
mean,
design.
it was a great design and the way
Yes.
it moves spinning.
Mm-hmm.
And do you know what the design reminded me of?
What's that?
It reminded me of the 24th century Breen starships.
Interesting.
It
Okay.
had a
All right.
very similar kind of,
Uh huh.
not exact, but a similar shape that you see of the Breen ships.
Uh huh.
Now I'm sure it's just a vaguely similar design. It's not really similar. And sure, it's a vaguely similar design. I'm sure it
Sure.
is the Gorn, but again, like we've never seen the Gorn in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
The Federation has never seen the Gorn,
Uh-huh.
and there's communicating by clicks and lights where we
Yeah.
never got that from the Gorn. We never got that in the lore about the
No.
Gorn before. Could it possibly be the Breen that we know very, very little about? They have helmets. The helmets can
Right.
fit a Gorn sized head. It's shaped like a Gorn sized thing with the kind of beak coming out there. Could it be an offshoot of the Gorn, such as the Romulans are an offshoot of Vulcans?
That's true. That is very very
I was
true.
just, I don't know. It's
That's a
just
good
a
thought.
thought
That's
that came to
fun.
me.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's
That's
definitely
why
a
it's a
fun
yellow
thought. Yeah,
alert,
that's
because like just keep your eye on the situation. Yeah,
okay.
but
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
there's a lot of random stuff I wrote down this episode, but I think those are the big points. Is there anything else you want to throw out?
Nothing that I can say at this time. I'm going to take a little bit better notes for the future episode. We're very new at this, so
Very new.
have fun laughing at us and as we stumble and learn
Oh,
how,
yeah,
how we're going to go through all
you'll have
this.
a lot of laughter. Oh,
Yeah.
but I just want to ask, what did you think of the episode, especially compared to the previous weeks? Is it still holding up for you?
Absolutely. I felt like this episode, when the episode ended, I would say the comment that I had in my head immediately without sleeping on it was busy. There's a lot going on.
There was a
Busy,
lot going
just
on.
one word, busy. And
Yeah.
that's okay. But I know that there's a particular group of Star Trek fans who prefer Star Trek to be standing on the bridge with their hands behind their back
Mm.
with this pseudoscience and technobabble. I'm not sure how they're going to enjoy that. Seeing that
Yeah,
it was
wasn't
this
that
busy.
episode? Yeah,
That was not this
definitely not.
episode, but I enjoyed it, though it
Mm.
was busy.
Yeah. I'll say the same thing. Yeah, I
Hmm.
thought it was good. I really had fun with it. I've been having fun with every episode. I don't think they're all the same level of greatness, but I think they're all the same
No,
level of entertainment.
for sure.
And I'm satisfied every time. There were a couple sloppy science moments in this episode that I wrote down, but again, as I explained to Jeremy before, and I explained to others, um, I have issues with a lot of modern Trek,
Hmm.
but those issues also apply to old Star Trek as well. The difference is, how much am I being entertained? If I'm enjoying myself,
Hmm.
if I am having fun with the episode, with the story, it's very easy for me to look over the little gripes there.
Yeah,
But when I'm not, that's when they just pile up.
they stand
So,
out way more. Yeah, you start looking for reasons to continue to
Yeah.
not having fun.
Exactly, and I'm having fun with this. So
Good.
I'm
Yeah.
so far 4 for 4. Strange New Worlds.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm enjoying it as well. I look forward to more. Okay. So if you don't have anything else, I think that's going to wrap up our first episode recap and
Yeah.
discussion about season 1, episode 4, and we're going to. I'm looking forward to episode 5. I really, really am.
Same here. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think we have any previews or anything because I know I got a preview of episode 4 somewhere along between the weeks or so, but I don't know. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. We really, really appreciate you. We look forward to hearing from you. Comments, anything, questions you've got. Hey, help us add a comment section where we can discuss and answer questions for you.
We just want to talk everything Star Trek with fans. So please, yeah, like
For
Jeremy
sure.
said, write a comment or visit us on Twitter, on Instagram under the Final FM. That's us. And yeah, let's discuss things together. That's what it's about.
All right, guys. Until next time, live long and prosper.
Still can't do it.
Still can't do that.
Nope.